Rimuru's strongest general is so powerful he could have killed our favorite slime at any time for about 60% of the story. He is the 20-billion-year-old primordial demon, Noir. When he was born, he wasn't like the rest of his primal siblings. While the other first beings of creation fought constantly, Diablo, after just one tie against the primordial red, got bored. In fact, he had a profound discovery that if he keeps getting stronger, he will only become even more tired of living. So, Noir didn't feel the need to evolve himself or even accept an ultimate skill. That is, until 2 years ago, when he found out about a slime doing some surprising things in the forest of Jura, like absorbing magicules. But he couldn't just approach his eventual master because that's kind of suspicious. What if Rimuru thinks Diablo is a stalker and tells him to go away? So he waited patiently to be summoned. Naturally, he stalked the heck out of Shizu, which eventually, about 2 years ago, led him to Rimuru Tempest. At first, Diablo was only interested in Rimuru due to his possession of the mask. But quickly, he realized that Rimuru was far more unique than anything he had ever witnessed in his eons of existence. For example, in the light novel, Diablo was so jealous that Beretta, in his eyes a lowly demon from his own family, had been summoned by Rimuru. He went to kill her, but after learning her body was made by Rimuru himself, Noir was immediately convinced to spare Beretta. If Rimuru created a rock and made Diablo hold on to it, I guarantee you, Diablo would never wash his hand again. But what is so fascinating about a 40-year-old virgin slime god? Well, like I said earlier, Diablo is interested in beings who break the foundations of the world, and Rimuru easily fits into that category. Firstly, Rimuru's way of running his nation of monsters is different from everywhere else in Tensura. Tempest isn't run with the idea of exclusion, but rather inclusion. You can be anyone or anything and still become a citizen of Tempest with zero prejudice. Even among demons, there are 7 different factions. Furthermore, just like Diablo, Rimuru doesn't do things to gain strength. Rather, he does and creates things that will bring him fulfillment and entertainment. For example, Rimuru spends his time and energy figuring out how to make ramen possible or creating white rice, rather than training to become stronger. Logically, becoming stronger in Tensura should help Tempest be safer, but Rimuru has created the strongest nation in the entire world without seeking military power directly or even individual strength. This is similar to how Noir operates. Even though he doesn't actively seek strength, he is the strongest demon in hell when Guy isn't there. Then there is Rimuru's soul itself. In Tensura, your capabilities as a fighter are largely dependent on the strength of your soul. For example, the stronger you make your soul, the more skills you can gain and can even evolve. This happens after going through an ordeal or overcoming it. But Rimuru's nonchalant and laid-back nature since becoming a lowly slime proves he has a gifted soul. This is then further enhanced through being named by a true dragon, Veldora. Rimuru is one of the only characters who has a soul strong enough to store a dragon factor. I'll explain more about that in the events of Volume 15. However, I have a theory that Rimuru is the incarnation of Veldora or is similar to Masayuki, who was born on Earth with fragments of the first hero Rudra's soul. Rimuru possesses Veldora's soul fragment, which is why he can make the impossible possible and why Diablo is so infatuated by him. When Diablo was summoned for the first time, it was just as our slime was entering his harvest festival. As Rimuru slept, Diablo was tasked with dealing with Raisin, a 1,000-year-old mage of Falmouth. Raisin might have seemed insignificant because he fought Diablo, but he was considered a nuclear-level threat to the world. He was literally the only reason other people were scared of invading Falmouth. Yet Diablo made it child's play to defeat this experienced wizard, known to be at the upper echelons of humanity's strength. The real shock to Diablo came right after, as he witnessed Raphael for the very first time. Most people watching Raphael revive all the fallen would just think it was Rimuru's angered and stoic form. But not Diablo. He is one of the most knowledgeable beings in existence when it comes to skills and the mechanics of magic. The secret of Raphael is only known by a select few in Tensura. Everyone else believes Rimuru has one ultimate skill, Gluttony King Beelzebub at this point. Yet Diablo, with his experience, could guess that Rimuru also possesses Wisdom King Raphael. This fact broke another rule of the world. One person with one soul is only supposed to have one ultimate skill. Furthermore, Rimuru didn't become a demon lord for himself, or even for his nation. He chose to undergo the procedure because that was the only way his friends, like Cheyenne, could be revived, which again goes against the nature of monsters. It was a selfless act. Rimuru put his entire personality at risk by becoming a demon lord because what if he emerged as this evil, stoic person, overtaken by the demon lord seed? After this battle, Noir came to Rimuru once again, expecting to be praised and enlisted into the Tempest forces. But Rimuru just said, "Nah bro, I don't need you. You can leave if you want. Thanks for the help though." Luckily, Noir didn't give up. He begged on his knees to let him serve Rimuru. So Rimuru gave Noir a name, which finally accepted his evolution into a demon peer. Not for himself, but because if Diablo becomes stronger, he's helping his master and the Tempest Army. However, the biggest boost to Noir was that he found a purpose where he could put his overwhelming powers to use. Diablo quickly rose to lieutenant level within the Tempest Army. However, Rimuru at this point only saw Diablo as a mere archdemon. In fact, his sheer presence is so strong it literally scares away potential threats. And I don't know how Mr. Slime didn't realize he had a primordial under his ranks for like 5 volumes after recruiting Diablo. An example of Diablo's power is when he utterly destroys the kingdom of Falmouth both hierarchically and economically after their failed invasion. Tempest demanded money as reparations, drastically decreasing Falmouth's economic standing. All that was left was to place Yam, a hero and ally of Tempest, on the throne, basically turning Falmouth into a vassal state of Tempest. Something important to note is that the church had involved Tempest in a scandal that blamed Diablo for the murder of their archbishop. They used Diablo to accuse Rimuru of a crime he didn't commit to destroy the monster nation. Diablo then came up with a plan to not only prove his innocence but secure Yam's ascension, effectively striking 2 birds with 1 stone. He gathered journalists from throughout the world in one place at a battlefield where he could not only disprove the claims of his enemies, but also protect them and serve as a hero figure. When the Western Church arrived to destroy the evidence, as expected, Diablo made their defeat look effortless. After the utter defeat of the Church and King Edward, journalists spread the news about Diablo and the truth behind the Falmouth invasion, gaining the country's support for Yam, just as Diablo had wished. This entire plan was pure entertainment, not only to us but especially to Diablo. Usually, a demon of Diablo's caliber, who has manifested physically, could have just used brute strength to win over a kingdom like Falmouth. However, Rimuru, by instructing him to avoid harming innocents and cause the least casualties, made this task more difficult and in turn, more fun for Diablo. Even though Diablo is under Rimuru's dominion, they share a symbiotic relationship where Mr. Slime makes things fun for our demon, while Diablo, using his intelligence and experience, makes life and management easier for Rimuru.